Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hari Bol. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Bol Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Govinda 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Ho Brahmanandi, Hare Hare Ho. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare, Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine, Yavise Sasanyavadi Paschatya Satani. Mukam Karuti Vacha Lam Pango Langayati Girina Krapata Maham Vande Siguru Dinatarinam. Vanchakapatu Vyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vichapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. I promised you a poem yesterday and I didn't read it. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
So this workshop we're doing is a shortened version of the entire workshop. This poem encompasses, we have a book, Self-Care Affirmations, and this poem is based on the affirmations. Upon the path of self-care, I tread. Powered with Krishna's love, my soul is fed. Caring for myself, the light in the night. In self-compassion, I find my might. Does this work for translation? Is it okay? I save myself, for in my heart I know this is where self-love starts. Caring for myself, the magic pill. It gives me strength where I am ill. Though faults I have, it's okay to be me. Self-acceptance, the only way to be. Let my ideals inspire, chart my course, living my values, integrity's force. Success and effort, perfection seed. In Krishna's service, I am freed. External perfection is not what he seeks. He sees my effort, even though I'm weak. Is this okay? You understand? You'd understand more if this was the end of the course. But anyway. Nourishing thoughts I choose to sow in mind's garden, so bhakti will grow. In sincerity's bloom is power and grace. It keeps me far from Maya's embrace. Despite my failures, His love remains, a balm for sins, for past mistakes. I accept His love into my heart space and give to myself the same loving grace. When I gift myself the love I've been given, I release myself from my self-created prison of self-loathing talk, and I release myself from my self-created prison of self-loathing talk and uncaring behavior, becoming my best friend, my real savior. Wow, that's an interesting idea, isn't it? You become your own savior. If He's willing to love and fully accept me, I can love myself just as easily. Krishna's affection showering my soul, now loving Him back, my only goal. Chanting japa, self-care's embrace, the best treasure, the highest grace. If it's favorable for bhakti, it's true self-love. Giving myself Krishna, nothing better thereof. In other words, give yourself Krishna as the highest self-care. Opening myself to His divine embrace. Self-care and love brings power and grace. I'll show His love through actions pure, so others will know Krishna is most dear. Hare Krishna. So I had, this was not written by me alone, I had an assistant write it also. His name is AI. I put the 20 affirmations into AI, and then I did 80% rewriting, but it covered all the affirmations in the poem. Maybe we should have included this in the book, right? So, my dear devotees, some of you weren't here yesterday, some of you were here but not fully. And so, what I want to do now is review what we learned yesterday. And the way we're going to review this is just to ask you if you would like to share something you learned. Specifically, it's nice to share something that had some real deep meaning for you. And you could explain why it had meaning. And we have a microphone here. Would you like to? Govinda. Can you turn this up? Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. So, the way this works is, you raise your hand, the mic appears in your hand, and then you speak. Whatever, I think that's the wrong mic. You're turning up the wrong mic. That's the wrong mic you're turning up. You turned up this mic, but you didn't turn up the wireless mic. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. He turned off this and turned up this. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sri Radha, Govinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Keep going. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, that's good. Now this one. Wait. Krishna Govinda. You turn this down a little bit. This mic is yeah, that's good. Okay. So whatever you want to share. It doesn't have to be a personal realization. It can be something that we learned. This is a review, and then it gives me an opportunity to clarify anything. You can ask questions also now. Good japa is the best form of self-care. You know why? Because if you chant good japa, you know what happens? What happens? Everything good happens. Everything good for you happens. But ultimately, if you chant good japa, you get love of Krishna. So what could be more beneficial than doing something that gives you love of Krishna? And therefore, that which gives you love of Krishna is the highest form of self-care. So japa, kirtan, or anything that gives you love of Krishna, but specifically in this age, it's the holy name. So chanting the holy name without offense, with devotion, is the highest form of self-care. And we also said yesterday, and everybody agreed, that if we care more about ourselves, automatically our japa gets better. Isn't that interesting? So, my dear devotees, do you care enough about yourself to improve your japa? Or are you okay with okay japa? So if we're okay with okay japa, then it's kind of like we're okay with being okay. And if we want to not be okay with being okay, we need more self-care. We need more self-love. Because you know what happens when you're just okay and you try to go back to Godhead? You know what happens to you? They send you back for more training. They say, okay is not good enough. You have to be better than okay. Go back again and do it another lifetime. See if you can get better than okay. Of course, if any mercy can happen, Krishna can, do anything. But you know this story, such a heavy story. I was saying the other day, maybe it was yesterday, I was telling that story about how heavy Prabhupada was with this devotee. He was always heavy with him. No matter what he did, he was heavy with him. That was his rasa with his devotee. So Prabhupada called this devotee into his room at 1 o'clock in the morning and asked him a question. Very interesting question. What are you doing? Prabhupada, I'm sleeping. It's 1 a.m. Why are you sleeping? I'm not sleeping. I'm up translating books. Why are you not up writing? Whoa. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada, you're a pure devotee. I'm not a pure devotee. Why you're not pure devotee? So monkeys. Monkeys like that story. I think that was an applause from the monkeys, right? Another story. Just so you understand, like Prabhupada's, what should we say? The way Prabhupada saw bhakti for us. There was a devotee and he was having trouble in Krishna consciousness. He was weak. He was initiated. So if a devotee wasn't initiated, Prabhupada didn't really feel like they officially made a commitment. And so because they didn't officially make a commitment, he generally wasn't heavy with them. It's when you make the commitment, like you want to get initiated. Are you sure? Because you're making a commitment, and that's when Prabhupada would be heavy if they weren't following the commitment. So this was an initiated devotee he wasn't following. And, he's very sincere, he was trying, but he was just really weak. And they told Prabhupada, so-and-so, he's sincere, he's trying, but he's weak. And Prabhupada said, why? Weak was an excuse. Prabhupada saw weak as an excuse. Like we see it as like, well, he's just weak, so be nice to him, And Prabhupada's saying, why is he giving into weakness? In other words, he took initiation. So why don't you care for yourself? Why do you just give in, make an excuse? He's weak, I'm weak. Oh, okay, he's weak, all right. There was one teacher said, the best excuse is I'm sick. Why didn't you do that? I'm sick. Oh, you're sick. So this is like, Prabhu, how come you didn't follow? I'm weak. Oh, okay. So Prabhupada's mood was like, Do you want to go back to Godhead? Because if you do, then you shouldn't give in to your weaknesses. You should be up at 1 a.m. writing books like me. Of course, he was a sannyasi, and nobody was as heavy. Prabhupada, I don't think, was as heavy consistently on anybody as he was on this devotee. But, we can understand the point. It's like, do you want to go back to Godhead or not? Because if you do, then you have to follow, right? And if you don't, if you're like whatever, then whatever. You'll go back to Godhead, Jai will be in there at the gates, and you'll try to go in, and they go, hold on. And then they'll say, you can't go in. And you'll say, why not? And he'll say, whatever. Because that's how you felt. Like, whatever, doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to me. Go back. Work it out, So, Prabhupada's mood was like, you don't have to take another birth to work it out, because you can work it out in this life. Like, Prabhupada's mood was, you don't need a lot of lives to work it out. You don't need to wait and make excuses, I can't do it. It's just, you can do it in this life. So, we were making the point that when you're lacking the impetus or the determination or whatever, you ask yourself this one question. What's the question you ask yourself? If I had more self-care, what would I do? You may not realize that this is probably one of the most powerful questions you could ever ask yourself. You may not realize that this can protect you from falling into so many wrong situations. If I'm at this sandhya, the border, where my mind is disturbed, attachments are strong, and I'm gravitating away from Krishna, if I just ask this question, if I cared more for myself, what would I do right now? The answer would be obvious. I would turn left instead of right. Does that make sense? It's like, it's crazy how powerful that one question can be. If I had more love for myself, what would I do right now? You can say that while you're chanting japa. You can say that when the alarm goes off. You can say that when they come with the third helpings of gulab jamans. Of course, some of you will say, if I care for myself more, I'll eat 5 gulabs. No, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, is this really good for me? Is this really going to help anything? If I cared more about myself, probably no, I wouldn't do that. There's another one that is amazingly powerful. If you actually have self-love, it becomes impossible to do anything which would harm yourself. You don't have the conscience, the nature to do anything that would harm you. Have you ever thought about doing something that's not good for you? Yeah. If you don't know the answer is yes. We all have, right? Usually all the questions I ask are yes answer questions. In case you don't know how to answer, go to yes, that's probably going to be right. So, have you ever thought about doing something? I'd love to do this, or you're in a situation where you're tempted to do something that's not good. Temptation. You know the word temptation, right? Have you ever been tempted to do something? And if you do this, the outcome, the enjoyment will be short and the pain will be long. You ever been in a situation like that? Where it's like, I know this is going to be bad. I know I shouldn't do it. I don't know why I'm even thinking about it. And then what do? You have 2 choices. You either say, but, and do it, or you say, no, I can't do that. Why can't I do it? Because I'll be harming myself. So there's this concept. You can be your own savior, or you can be your own nemesis, your own demon destroying you, right? So I want to share an idea. See if you can embody this idea in your heart. See if you could come to the point where you care so much about yourself, it would be impossible to do anything to yourself that would harm you. Just like, could you harm somebody you love? You have a small, innocent child. Could you ever harm that child? You love that child too much, right? Or your dog or your pet. You love them too much. You could never do anything to harm them. And indeed, sometimes you would protect them from harm at your own self-sacrifice. But if you deeply love somebody, you can't do anything to harm that person. If you deeply love yourself, you could not do anything that would result in something which would be harmful. So, I would like you to think of this. Right now, I would like you to think of something which is like your big weakness, your biggest temptation, your biggest temptation and biggest weakness. Like what, like, have you ever thought like, I hope I don't end up here in this situation, because if I did, probably I wouldn't make it. I don't hope I end up alone in a room with this, a room full of drugs, or a beautiful woman, or a pile of money, or whatever it is. Think of a temptation. Think of something. It could be a little something, a sweet ball, or just something you don't want to do. It could be your tongue talking ill about others. Something that every time you do it, it creates it's just bad. Even if you think about it, it's bad. What to speak if you do it? Some temptation. It could be simple, just like you're trying not to eat sugar. Anything. It could be as simple as, I don't want to eat sugar, it's bad for me. Okay? Have you got it in your head? That one thing? You just need one thing, as simple as eating sugar, or eating something that's unhealthy, or saying the wrong thing, getting upset, getting angry, being envious, being lusty, greedy. Okay. Think of the ramification. Think what would happen if you did that to your life? What happens when you do that to you? Physically, emotionally, mentally, socially, reputation, whatever. Think about it. What would happen? The ramifications of that. Okay, now, you got it? You should be feeling really bad right now. If you're not doing the exercise right. You have to look at those ramifications, and they should be actually just make you feel horrible. I don't want to do that. Right? Okay, now here's the thought I want to impregnate within you. If I can impregnate this thought within you, you can all go home now. It'll be over. You've got everything you need. Hare Krishna. Anything that moves attracts people's attention. Did you know that? We had a preaching display. It was a changing bodies, and whenever we wheeled it out, there were always people like looking at it. And you finally set it up, and it sits in, and they all go. Something about moving it that attracts people. So when there's people moving here, I can't talk because everyone's going to look at them. Okay, so this is what I want to put in your heart. You have a temptation, something. And you feel deeply that I can't do this, because if I do this, I would be hurting myself, and I could never hurt myself. I could never do anything that would hurt me. That's self-care. That's pure self-care. That I could never do anything that would produce ramifications that would be hurtful to me. Have you ever done something that's hurtful to you? Yeah, Prabhu, every day. Some of us, right? Have you ever had a thought that's hurtful? Of course. Have you ever had 10,000 hurtful thoughts in a day? Yeah, maybe. So sometimes devotees say, I'm conditioned, I'm programmed, I have trauma, this and that, I'm down on myself, this, that, and the next thing. I totally understand it. I understand it really well. I've studied it. I know how this works. But self-care is so powerful. If you can come to the point that I could never do anything to hurt myself, you could start reprogramming that. Because it would hurt you to hurt yourself. You couldn't do it anymore. So I'm hurting myself, I can't do this. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. That's what self-care is. Do we hurt ourselves with our thoughts? Oh yeah. We talked about that yesterday. Have you ever abused yourself? Shamed yourself? Yes. Bullied yourself? Yes. I love myself too much to do that. That's the idea. I care about myself too much. Have you ever wondered why you would do something or allow yourself to do something that would hurt you? Have you ever wondered? You want to know why? This is really scary. Some of us feel we deserve it. And so if you feel you deserve, I'm so sinful, I've done so many bad things, I actually deserve to suffer. If you ever feel you deserve to suffer, you know what you're going to do? You're going to figure out how to suffer. And you will do something to cause yourself to suffer because you feel you deserve it. That's crazy, isn't it? Have you ever done that? Maybe you don't. Maybe you did it and you don't know because it's subtle. Maybe you don't do Krishna consciousness well because you think you don't deserve it. Because why would you deserve it? Because, you're like a bad person. You think that's possible? I think we talked about that yesterday. Like, why would I bother to be Krishna conscious? Because Krishna doesn't even care about me. So there's no loss for him. I don't care about myself. It's a lose-lose situation. Everybody loses. That's my life. Just think about it. Think about it, see if it makes sense. We have in the Bhagavad-Gita, I deserve more karma than Krishna gets. That's certainly a fact. But to think some of us think I'm a bad devotee, so I know Krishna's going to do something that caused me to suffer. Where's that coming from? Well, if he doesn't do it, I'll do it myself. I'll make sure it happens, right? Where does that come from? Sometimes we do an exercise, we ask devotees, what's your fear of surrender? Today we were on a Vrindavan Prikrama, we met a Bengali lady named Chitra. And Chitra was telling about her deities, and I said, so what do your deities say to you? And he said, my deities tell me, past, present, and future, give it all to me. And when I heard that, I was ecstatic. I said, yes, this is bhakti. And the way she said it was there's no fear, there's no second thought. This is bhakti. You love someone, you give them everything. What's the problem? It's interesting, right? You fall in love with someone, you give them everything, right? So we did this exercise and say, so if you were to fully surrender to Krishna, what would be your fear? And all these fears come out. It's really, and so, I'm afraid he'll take my money, he'll take my husband, he'll make me do the service I don't want he'll make me do service that's really difficult. All these very interesting fears. Krishna's he's a heavy dude. He's going to make my life difficult. If I fully surrender, Dharmatma's here, he manages here. Dharmatma could think, if I fully surrender, they're going to kick Panchagoda out and put me in his place. My fear is they make me a temple president. I renounced that service. That for me, it's just a difficult service. But we all have some service that's difficult. If I fully surrender, maybe Krishna will make me do this or that. Right? So we were sharing, and in the sharing, one devotee had a notebook, and she was doing this exercise, writing in the notebook. And on the notebook was the picture of Krishna sitting on the bank of the Jamuna on some rocks. It's on that book, Reservoir of Pleasure. If you've seen that book, Reservoir of Pleasure, it's a famous picture. Anyway, he's very young, innocent, sitting on the rock with his flute. And she said, I have all these fears, like Krishna. Basically the fears are Krishna's going to hurt me. He's going to do something that's going to hurt me, right? Isn't that weird? Don't you think that's weird? You're surrendering to a God that you're afraid is going to hurt you. Wow, that's really weird. What kind of religion do we have here? A lot of us got that before we came here. But she said something beautiful. Would you like to hear what she said? Nobody wants to hear. Okay, class is over. You can go now. Yeah, she said, this is what she said. It's really beautiful. She's looking at this picture. She said, I'm thinking like Krishna's going to do these, if I surrender, it'll do some things that might hurt me. And she said, but I was looking at all my fears, and I looked at this picture of Krishna, and I thought, how could this young, beautiful, blue boy do anything to hurt me? Wow. How could this young, beautiful blue boy do anything to hurt me? Guess what? There's only one person that can do anything to hurt me. Guess who that is? Well, I can tell you it's not Krishna. So we eliminated him. That kind of only leaves one person left. And you probably know who that is, and you probably know that person quite well. Only we can do it. Yes? Isn't that a paradox? This is a huge paradox. Think of this. We think Krishna's going to hurt us when that's the last thing he'll do, and we're the ones hurting ourselves, and we're thinking he's going to hurt us if we surrender to him while we're hurting ourselves by not surrendering. Isn't that weird? Don't you think? Yes? 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 Yes?
Yes.
All right. I'm not sure everyone's alive. You have to prove you're alive. Yes?
Yes.
It's only 50% alive. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, everyone's alive. Yeah. Just let this sit in. It's just quite interesting. The person the person who can hurt us the most, we're not worried about that person. The person who loves us the most, we're worried about him hurting us the most. Isn't that weird? You probably sometimes think you're weird. Now you know you're weird. There's no doubt. Like, this is really weird, isn't it? So, we want to come to this point, if we can. You can't, it's not going to happen overnight, but I would like you to meditate on this. How could I come to this point where I could not do anything which is harmful to myself, including thoughts? My dear devotees, you have a relationship with yourself. Did you know that? Did anyone ever tell you? Did you ever treat yourself badly? Did you ever treat yourself well? Yeah, we have a relationship with ourselves. We can treat ourselves nicely or badly. Did you ever tell yourself nice things? Yeah, you're okay, keep going, you're not bad, you can do it. Or did you ever tell yourself, you're useless, well, you might as well give up? We have this conversation going, it's a relationship. Isn't that interesting? It's so interesting, right? Yes? Remember yesterday we talked about this kind of humility that's not humility, but it's self-abuse. I'm so bad, I'm so rotten. Rotten, wretched, and worthless. We could make a t-shirt, Dharmatma. Be a big seller. I'm rotten, wretched, and worthless. And then we see who buys the t-shirt, and then we know. Now we know who needs counseling. Whoever buys that t-shirt, it's like, I want to bask in this realization. So it's like, if you want to think that about yourself, that's a bit of a problem, don't you think? Yeah, that's a bad relationship with yourself. When you have prema, you can think that way. Not that you can, you will, but it's not going to be bad. www. Well, no, I put a W in front of rotten. It's WWR. Worthless, wretched, and rotten. If you have a relationship with yourself that is not helping you in your life, and especially in your spiritual life, you are your own enemy. You are your own abuser. And so now, we want to frame our relationship with ourselves in a way that we could never do anything harmful to ourselves. If I come to that realization, I could never do anything harmful. All the negativity that we may give ourselves, we can't do it anymore. All the doubt and whatever, we can't do it anymore because it's hurting us. And we feel like, I can't do anything to hurt myself. Wouldn't that be nice? That's self-care. And a division of self-care is self-love, and that's self-love, or self-compassion. Does that make sense to you? So I would just like you to meditate on this. One devotee said, I love myself too much to not love myself. That's a nice one, right? You want to all say that together? See if that does anything for you. Let's say it together. I love myself too much to not love myself. You know, this word self-love, it sounds weird for devotees, doesn't it? It's not like when was the last Bhagavatam class that someone talked about self-love? Like there wasn't one, I don't think. But now we understand what it means. Okay. Anyone else want to share what we learned yesterday? Subhadra. Shubha. Subhadra is excited to share. Over here. Shubha. She's going to give a whole class now, right? Louder. We didn't hear Gandhari, we didn't hear you. She wrote too much?
Yeah, very many songs yesterday.
Okay, pick the best ones. Yeah.
И логически мне стало понятно, если кто-то ко мне плохо относится, я могу хотя бы отойти от этого человека.
Can you understand what she's saying?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. I'll repeat it. Can we make that louder?
When?
The microphone. I'll repeat it. When someone hurts us, we can distance ourselves from that person, but when we hurt ourselves, we cannot distance ourselves from that person. Wow, that's heavy. I didn't say that, did I? Did I say that or she said that? Wait, did I say that or you said that? Was that her realization or I said that? Oh yeah, that's what I thought. I like that. Give her a big hand of applause. That was good. I'm going to put that on. I'll put that on Facebook. That's a good one.
She said that in some way we are taking a part of ourselves doing that.
Say that again. I didn't understand.
She said that in some way doing that, harming ourselves, we are taking a part of ourselves.
Taking apart. You mean destroying? Taking away a part?
Leaving us.
Oh, distancing ourselves from. Yeah, destroying it. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. We're destroying a part of ourselves. We're burying or killing. Is that what you mean? Separating?
Yeah.
Okay.
Поэтому самое лучшее будет для самого себя хорошим другом. So the best way is to be the best friend to yourself.
The what?
To be a best friend to yourself. I am my best friend for myself.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I have to tell you something also I didn't tell you. Maybe I told you, I'm not sure. But have you ever made a promise to yourself that you didn't keep? That's another yes answer. Yeah. You don't have to think, it's just, these are just human conditioned things we do, right? All right, so what do you think happens when you make a promise to yourself that you don't keep? I'll give you a hint. What happens when someone makes a promise to you they don't keep?
You lose trust.
You lose trust. Yeah, you lose trust. What happens when you make a promise to yourself and you don't keep?
Trust in yourself.
You lose trust in yourself. We have a relationship with ourselves. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it? So some people, they lose so much trust in themselves, they stop making promises because they know they're not going to keep them. That's a weird relationship. It's like, I don't trust you because every time you make a promise, you don't keep it, so don't even make a promise to me, I don't believe you. That's a bad relationship to have with yourself, isn't it? That you can't even commit to anything. You stop committing because you've given up on yourself so many times. That's not self-love. That's self-destruction. Isn't it? Like you're destroying yourself so much you can't even commit because you don't even trust yourself. That's bad. It's interesting, isn't it? Thank you. Sometimes we talk about I like to think about the person, the kind of person I would like to be, and have that very clear. It's very clear to me. This is the kind of person I want to be. Sometimes it's actually a person, and I want to be like that person in some way. It's very clear. I know who this person is. I know how they behave, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be like that. I think it's really good if we all have very clear ideas of the kind of person we want to be, how we want to act and react in all situations in life. Why is that? Because we all have acted as the person we don't want to be. Right? And so, have you ever hated yourself for doing something? It's a bad relationship to have with yourself, isn't it? Why did I do that? I hate myself. It's like, if you could just turn the world off and disappear at that point, that would be good, right? Because you don't, you know, it's like karma is so interesting, because if you do something like that, you have to live with yourself, and you have to live with that memory that I did this. Have you ever done something you wish you never did? Or you could take a little pill and would just erase that from your head that you did that? It's interesting, isn't it? So like if I love myself, I don't want to do anything that I'm going to spend the rest of my life regretting, because I'll have to remember that. Right? Does that make sense to you? Makes sense to me. Right? We all have done something or some things we wish we had never done, because we don't have to live our life with a memory that I wish I hadn't done that. And we feel bad. You know, it's like, it's just a reality. And that emotion is stuck somewhere in us and in our body and our mind, and it would really be nice. You know, you can work with it and process it and whatever, but it would have been better we didn't do it. Yes? Yes.
At least we can do something about it, because we're still living. So I saw it on the chapel walk this morning, and then I met someone and they were talking about death. It was a sannyasi who mentioned about death. And then later on, this person made a mistake. He was a motorcyclist. He made a mistake. And I won't describe what happened, because it's quite a...
Can you explain this in 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, so basically he died. So what I'm trying to say is that he made a mistake. He can't do anything about it. So we've made mistakes, but we're still living. So we can still do something about it.
Yeah, of course.
Simple as that.
Of course, yeah. We definitely can do something about it, and we have to. But we can't forget that we did it. But we can process it and make our life better and learn from it and so forth. 100%. But, you know, it's like, my only point is, we don't want to do something that later in life we have to look back and wish we hadn't done. You know, we can work through it, of course. But it would be better if, like, I don't have to remember that I did that. Because I feel bad that I gave into something, right? Isn't it? Yeah. So, you know, what choice do we have? Okay, we did it. We want to work through it. We don't want to harm ourselves for having done it. But I think there's many things in our life we would say, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done that. And for some people, it's heavy, you know. They've done heavy things to people and caused people to suffer. So, if we go forward in our life thinking like this, that if I love myself, I wouldn't do anything that I would have to live my life hating that I had done. If I actually loved myself, I would never allow myself to do something that would be harmful. If I loved myself, I'd keep my word to myself and to others, right? Self-respect. Self-respect comes, a lot of our self-respect comes, or a very high level of self-respect comes when you do something that you personally value and you stick to that value. Like, I'm committed to do this. This is the way I live my life. This is what I believe in, and you always do that. That is one of the, to me, that's one of the greatest acts of self-care, because if I don't do that, I suffer on some level, right? I mean, you know what it's like when you do something you know you shouldn't do. Because you're not like in ignorance, you know you shouldn't do it. It's a bad feeling. That's what guilt is. Guilt is just, all guilt is that you're out of alignment with a value. That's why you feel guilty. I know I should do this, but I did this. So now they should be like this, but now they're like this. And so because it's out of alignment, there's an energy inside of us, we call it guilt, that makes us feel out of alignment. And guilt is really, it's meant to report to us, I said something to you and now I go home and I feel guilty. And then what does that mean? I shouldn't have said that. It was the wrong thing, right? It's not, you ever lie to somebody? It's a little white lie. And you go home, you're like, I shouldn't have lied. Like there's no reason. Why did I do that? What was I afraid of? You don't feel good. You feel out of alignment with what you value, right? Have you ever given a class and done the opposite of what you said in the class? That's an out of alignment. So whenever, it's a warning to those who give class. I'm just warning you, Krishna hears your class. And he tests you on what you teach, and he'll provide opportunities for you to not do what you just taught. So be careful. Giving class is really nice, but it does happen that Krishna follows you around that day and puts a few things in your way to see what you're going to do, right? So, if I truly want to care for myself on the highest level and consistently, holistically, I will always try to live my values, think my values, feel my values, believe my values, because then there's no dissidence. It's all aligned. Have you ever done something that was difficult and you promised yourself you were going to do it, and after you did it, you felt like amazing? Yes? Like, I'm going to do this today, whatever it is. Fast, chant, commit to appreciate devotees, whatever it might be. And you did it, and you're like, yes, I am living what I believe. And you feel, wow, this is it. This is what life is about. Yes? You feel empowered, you feel strong. You feel like, yeah, this is who I am, who I want to be, and I'm living it. And if we don't live who we want to be, it's the miserable feeling. It's, to be out of alignment with your values is a very horrible feeling. And because we don't, self-care means we don't want to do anything that would hurt ourselves. Living in alignment with our values is one of the most self-caring things we can do. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes or yes? Yes. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
You sound like you're dead. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
It sounds like I'm depressing you. You're like sitting and going, oh my God, I'm really messed up. I knew I was messed up, but I didn't know I was this messed up. Yeah, now you know. You thought you were messed up, wait till you come to our retreat. You're just like, you're going to know how messed up you really are. No, we'll have fun there, don't worry. Have you ever resisted doing something? That's another yes question. I don't want to face it, I don't want to deal with it, it's difficult, I want to think about it, You know that feeling? Like, we'll do it tomorrow feeling? Yeah, like tomorrow in the next day of Brahma, that's when I'll do it. I just, it's too difficult. It's too uncomfortable. I don't want to face this thing. Sometimes it's just like, it's having to face something, some failure I have to admit, like I'm not as good as I thought I was, or it's just something Someone once said, and I think they're right, I think they're spot on. The thing you need, the thing that you most resist is the thing that you most need to face, to deal with it. Someone else said it in a different way. Your greatest victory is just underneath your greatest challenge. Right? So it's like, oh, this is my greatest challenge, I don't want to deal with it. If you have a resistance to something, it's probably something that's really important to deal with. And if you're self-caring, you'll do it. And if you're not self-caring, you won't. It's just, laziness. This laziness business is not self-care. It feels like self-care because there's no stress. But there's a stress on a subtle level, isn't it? So, I think it's one of the best things anybody could do is face their resistances. Because if you don't face them, then the unresolved issue, whatever it is, never gets resolved. And you have to carry it with you your whole life. Right? So if I actually care about myself, I would face it. Yeah? Yes? Yes? Huh? Huh? That's Hindi. For those of you who don't know Hindi, huh is yes, yes. Sahi hai? Correct. Sahi hai? Nahi hai. Okay. Who else wants to share? Yes? It's a little teeny button. Yeah. We have to turn that microphone up. Prabhu. People who are abused. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said, but I don't think like that because I think that that should be also some kind of. You didn't say there is a free will, but I would say that I know that there is 33% more or less that you said in other way, which I don't remember, that there is some kind of responsibility and there is some kind of adjusting situation.
Yeah, especially within an organization that's responsible for people.
And we know from this side of karma that actually people who are in charge of other people and who are leading other people, they're taking their karma and they're responsible for that. And also because there is 33% of this free will we have, it's there is our actually we have to be very conscious about our life to change it and to maybe use this 33% of our free will. But that is not easy because we have this kind of karmic patterns which are actually psychological patterns, which are not coming only from our parents, how they treated us, but actually they are very deeply inclined in us. So we are usually behaving like it is written in our karma, but we still have to work on ourselves
Yeah.
many ways to improve ourselves, to resist that
Yes.
usual habits and
Yeah.
karmic
Yeah.
patterns
Yeah.
that we can actually be above them. So it's not about karma that we are completely without freedom. And
But also, it's interesting because karma is so complicated. Because if I say it's my karma and I do something, but I'm responsible for what I do. So even if it's my karma, I did it, and therefore I'm going to get more karma. So where do you start it and end it? Yeah. Yeah.
usually after 4 to 5 people are getting rid of those negative forces. They already did many things, so that is the time that people can actually, at least that time, they can
Yeah.
start and see
Yeah.
that actually they can behave in another way. They can improve their lives, they can change, because we have this percentage of free will that we can actually raise above and grow.
Well, also for devotees, they can. Ultimately, Krishna can change everything, right?
Especially that.
Yeah.
And for me, I think this is my third self-care workshop. So I have realized one thing, and it is very encouraging me, because nowadays I can actually really raise and actually see my mind going against me and just put him in a corner
Mm.
not do that, but that is really because of this self-care.
Oh, fantastic.
And say, don't do that. I don't want to listen to you because
Yeah.
it's like it's not me actually.
Yeah, it's not.
It sounds like not me.
It's your conditioning.
And then I just say, okay, you do your thing. I don't trust you. Put him in a corner. That's really, I had that realization experience, literally like seeing the other person. And then I just play the lecture or
Yeah, yeah.
audio book about Krishna and completely detach myself.
Also what you can do, some devotees do, they say, I'm a devotee now, so I need your help. If you're not going to help me be a devotee, then I don't need you. I'm going to ignore you or whatever. So, that's ultimately what we want, isn't it? That the mind would support us. But also there's another thing to think about in relation to what you said. It's similar to what you said, but it's not something that devotees talk about a lot, but I think it's important in dealing with the mind. As we know, we have many thoughts that we don't even know where they come from. They just show up, right? You see somebody and it's like, you think something about them. You don't even know where that thought came from. And so sometimes it's not a question of controlling the thoughts, it's a question of what thoughts you're going to give attention to. Because I have many thoughts. So this thought is flowing through, this is a good thought, that's where my attention goes. This other one isn't, so my attention doesn't go there. So that's also another way of looking at it. I don't have to shut the mind up, I can just give attention to what I want to give attention, and I can also bring in thoughts. I had this problem becoming a devotee, thinking that everyone who's not a devotee, there was like something fundamentally wrong with them. And like everything they do is basically wrong. It's like a very negative attitude, I just see people, they could be nice people. Oh, he's not a devotee, so he's wrong. Everything's wrong in his life. And then I was thinking, that's pretty negative. Like, I could just okay, well let's plant another thought. Like, they're probably nice people and he's just, doing his thing and he's ignorant and, I don't even know him, So it's not that difficult to just switch it, to realize, oh, I always tend to switch negative, right? Maybe I could now switch positive. Why not? These devotees, they're always blah, 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 blah. You ever think like that? Devotees are, they're always like this, You can switch that to something better. Yes? Why not? Did you know, I was saying this morning, I don't know if you know this, but when you appreciate someone for a quality they have, that quality comes back to you. And when you criticize someone for a fault they have, that fault comes back to you. So knowing that, I think it's a great idea, what do you think, to appreciate and get the good qualities that you appreciate and not criticize and get the bad ones. And so, wow, that was a big realization. It only took me like 50 years to realize that one. And now that I finally have that realization, when I'm about to criticize, I can think, oh, that's not a good idea. I'm going to get their bad qualities. Maybe I should appreciate them. So, I don't know if you all know this. What I just said sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? And I want to explain why it sounds simple. You know why it sounds simple? Could anybody guess? Because it's simple. That's why it sounds simple, because it is. And I think one of the problems that we have is we hear something and we think it's not simple, it's complicated and we can't do it. But it's actually, when you realize much of what you hear is actually simple, then you say, oh, that was simple. I thought it was complicated. So, if you want to be more positive, more encouraging, more self-accepting, it's actually not that difficult. I mean, if you're conditioned for, half your life or all your life, yeah, you're going to go that way, but you could start thinking differently and then switching it every time it happens. No, that's not a good thought. I don't like that. Let's try something more positive. Let's tune into another station on the radio, you know. Oh, I like this one. This one's nice, you know. It's a little bit like that. So it's like, which station do you want to focus on? So I would suggest you try that and see if you can change stations. Just, you know, test it out, you know, like tomorrow. And start to notice, like, your patterns. Like if you have negative patterns, just start to notice them and see if you could, like, change them. And you can. It's not that hard. I mean, you have to, you know, program yourself and gradually you'll get better, but you can. But it's nice to notice your patterns. Just how your mind goes, how it gravitates. Do you ever see somebody that's really good at something and you don't like them because you're not as good? Did that ever happen to you? Or am I the only one it's ever happened to? Yes? Did that ever happen?
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. How does that feel? Would you like to spend the rest of your life like that? Well, you know, I think some of us, if we don't do something about it, will spend the rest of our life like that, you know, until you think it through and say, oh, I'm starting to notice how I deal with people who are better than me. I'm always like upset. I don't like this, it's not good. Maybe I could turn the station. I go, look at Prabhu, he's really good at that. That's great. I'm happy. Have you ever not been happy to hear good news about what someone else did? He just opened this center, so many people joined, they're just doing so many books, this and that, and you're like, ooh. That's weird to feel that way, isn't it? Don't you think? So if you ever felt that way, it would be a good idea to notice, oh, that's what I do. When I don't like somebody and they're successful, it doesn't make me happy. Wouldn't it be better to be happy? I mean, all they did was spread Krishna consciousness. It's strange not to be happy about that, isn't it? Could I turn that switch? Well, just try. Just try. Maybe you can't. Maybe I'm wrong. But you'll never know until you try. And I'm just trying to say it's not that hard. You just have to recognize it. You know, it's like, okay, he's doing this. Fantastic. He's a great devotee. I love him. Isn't that how you want to live? Isn't that better? Isn't that nicer? Yeah, we all want to live like that, don't we? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to take a break? No, we have a little more time. It's not 6. Yes, Kamal. You can. Where's the microphone?
Hare Krishna. Yesterday we were kinder, nicer to others than to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I was contemplating on it. So I've seen some devotees in my life, like they are very kind and they are very helpful to others, but they tolerate all the bad behaviors from others while they are doing the service to others, and they are very kind to others, very helpful, but in spite of that they tolerate. And the worst part is that they think that's how it is to be. Like, that's what
Yeah. Well, we talked about, you remember we were talking yesterday how a lot of the negativity that doesn't help us, we think it helps us, or we think that's the way a devotee is supposed to be. Because you hear about very humble devotees, and very humble devotees are very humble. And humble people talk about what's wrong with them. I don't have good qualities, I'm not kind, I'm not humble. And when you misunderstand that, then you can develop a really negative attitude towards yourself and think, well, that's what you're supposed to do. to be humble. The thing is, you can't just be humble by saying there's something wrong with you, right? Because we are so proud that sometimes we will say there's something wrong with us so other people will think we're humble and will get their appreciation, isn't it? It's like so, it's such a deep thing. So humility has to, it doesn't really, for us it's not going to manifest in severe negativity. It's going to manifest, I think humility, one aspect of humility is just self-acceptance. This is where I'm at, I just accept it. Then how does that make me humble? Because I don't have to pretend to you to be something I'm not. So I can be genuine. Because humility means, right, don't be duplicitous. Just, whoever you are, just show that. That's who you are. You don't have to pretend. And Prabhupada has a purport, or several purports, where he talks about this. And we can read some of it if we have time. That this is really bad for bhakti. To be pretending to be somebody you're not, It's really bad to be a little bit like down here at home and then come in public and pretend to be up here. That does not help your bhakti. Being genuine and honest, it doesn't help you either because people who pretend often believe in their pretension. Like they pretend to be up here and they start believing it. And that's not good. So humility is not an act where you pretend to be someone. Humility just means, okay, this is who I am. These are my faults, these are my good qualities. Humility doesn't just mean acknowledge your faults, it means acknowledge your good qualities. You know where you stand. And then it's like, then you can make progress from there. But if this humility is like, no, Prabhu, I'm like way down here. No, you're not. You're not way down there. That's not humility. Who are you trying to fool? This doesn't help. And I've often said that it's unhealthy to create an environment in any temple in which people feel obligated to pretend to be more advanced than they are, to show that. That's really bad. Don't do it. If people let people feel free to be who they are and not get judged and chastised, but to be real, then we can have a community that's real. But if everyone has to show that I'm something better than I am, then we're trying to create humility, but we're working against humility. It's like we're kind of encouraging subtly everyone to act and pretend like they're more advanced than they are. Right? Yeah, that's not good. You remember yesterday we said humility means reality? What's real? It's actually a big relief just to acknowledge where you're at on the scale of 1 to 1. Where are you between the scale of 1 and 108 on the KC scale? Where are you? Okay, maybe I'm only at 6, but that's like, okay, well at least I admit it. And I accept it, and I'm not trying to show people I'm at 93 when I'm at 6. Do you ever try to do that? Show your, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare. Yeah, don't do that. That's not going to help you. You know that story? Maybe some of you don't know this story. That we know the ecstatic symptoms. You'll roll on the ground, you'll cry, hair stand on end, voice choking. So one man, it's like the early days, either in New York or San Francisco, like 66, 67. Indian man comes in, rolling on the ground, screaming, Radha, Radha! And devotees are like, they never, they didn't know what to do. This is early days in the movement. So they asked Srila Prabhupada, if this ever happens again, or if he comes back, what do we do? Prabhupada said, kick him. If he's in ecstasy, he won't feel it. Like, why are you kicking me? Oh, just testing your ecstasy, I guess. It was a good show. You're a good actor. The movie theater is down the street, not here. Yeah. So humility is not this artificial sense of putting myself down. What's healthy for us is just acknowledging where we're at on the scale, and then it's not like I necessarily am happy about it, but I'm not unhappy because it just is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I wish I were higher on the scale. Maybe I'm at 20 out of 108. But once you accept you're at 20, it's just okay. That's just the reality. I have to be okay with that. I'm okay with 20, and I want to be higher. Like, remember what we said yesterday? Prabhupada loves us so much that he accepts us, but he loves us so much that he won't let us stay as we are. Isn't that beautiful? Prabhupada loves us so much, he accepts us, but he loves us. Prabhupada loves us, so he accepts us, but he loves us. He loves us so much that he accepts us, but he loves us too much to allow us to stay where we are. And so you can love yourself so much that you can accept yourself, but you love yourself too much to allow yourself to stay. That's how you balance it. But I don't want to be part of an organization where people are forced to pretend to be more Krishna conscious than they are, just to get some acceptance from others. And if you don't put on a good show, people are like, oh, that's so-and-so, Prabhu. He's nonsense. No, maybe he's more humble than anyone else because no one else is willing to admit where they're at, and he's the only one. So he's actually more advanced. Thank you for that. Yes?
I have just one question on this. For humility, you said you have to cultivate it, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
How do you
Fake it till you make it means practices. It doesn't mean practices of false humility. It means practices of genuine humility. So what would be a practice of genuine humility and what would be a practice of false humility? Practice of false humility would be going around telling everyone you're lower than a worm and stool. Right? Prabhu, I have a message for you. What is it? I'm lower than a worm and stool. And then by your physiognomy you do everything that makes you look humble. So that doesn't help. What would be a genuine act of humility? Saying I'm sorry for offending someone. Someone says, will you forgive me? Yeah, forgiving them. Showing some appreciation for some little act. Doing something amazing, but feeling that was just my Guru's mercy. Those are real acts of humility for us right now. But just trying to, be lower than the lowest, We're having competition tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, to see who can be the lowest of the lowest of the low. We'll see who comes in first place. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to have competition to see who can apologize, who can do some menial service, who can cooperate, who can listen to another person that they disagree with. That's humility. You know how hard it is to listen to someone you disagree with. Your mind shuts off. Humility means I'll listen. So yeah, fake it till you make it. Fake it by practicing the actions of humble people, not imitating the thinking and feelings of humble people that are beyond us. It doesn't do us any good. It just makes things weird. Is that okay? Yes. Mathura. Mathura. In case you don't know, it's not Mathura, it's Mathura. Because in Sanskrit, when you have an H after a T, it's not tha, it's ta. Mathura. As I said yesterday, most of us can't even pronounce our own names. But anyway, Prabhupada still accepts us. Yes, Mathura.
Now I know how to pronounce my name.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. You asked me to tell a story this morning.
Yeah, tell the story. Let's hear it.
I'll tell a story. So, when it actually began in Alachua, Florida, there were circumstances why we had to cut the trip kind of short and not go to Mayapur. And that situation changed. So in Florida, I called the airline company and asked them how much it would be to change the tickets phone the whole time here wasn't working. I couldn't make calls, I couldn't text. But I went back to our room and I thought, I'm going to call the airline and I'm going to tell them that my spiritual master is doing the yatra in Mayapur. And you have to make an exception and change my ticket. Because I cannot pay $2,400. So I picked up my phone and I said, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm just going to try. And the phone worked. It dialed the number. And I told them that we're going on this trip. And he said, let me see what I can do. So I told my daughter, pray and feel that Krishna loves us. So he came back and he said, I can change your ticket for $500. I said, okay, amazing. Look how Krishna loves us. So,
Hari Bol.
thank you for teaching us.
Hare Krishna. And you remember what we said yesterday, which I was so adamant about? If Krishna loves you and you don't think he does, that's not very nice, is it? Yes.
I have a question about what you said. So, if
I have a question.
Okay.
If Krishna if that person would have not done anything, then you will have feel like, okay, Krishna does not love me, right?
He's asking you.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I already felt that way before. I thought, well, I'm a loser. Krishna doesn't want me to go to Mayapur. I'm not, he doesn't want to include me. And so I thought, well, if Krishna still doesn't want me to go, I still believe he loves me. He's got something else for me. But maybe he does want me to go, and he wants me to try harder.
Yeah.
Because I gave up very easy the first time. I just said, okay, he doesn't want me to go, probably because I'm a loser.
What did you say yesterday? I'm a loser when I dance with Maya, and I'm a winner when I... How did you say that? You remember?
Oh yeah. Thank you. I'm useless when I'm disconnected from Krishna, and I'm useful when I'm connected.
Yeah, I'm useless when I'm disconnected from Krishna, and I'm useful when I'm connected. Beautiful. Okay. We should take a break, right? You've been sitting a while. So let's take a break for like 10-15 minutes, and then we'll come back and churn the ocean of nectar. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you have any questions, I'm right here, waiting, dying to answer them.